Okay, J.W. Nixon II and Effie Dean Woolley lived on the same block in St. George. And when they were just little, mothers decided that wouldn't it be nice if they would eventually marry, and they kind of managed things. But I was just reading his autobiography, and he said that from the time they were 14 on, they were attached to each other and loved each. He knew that she was the one. And I have his journal where he recounts their trip from St. George to Huntington after they were married. And it was kind of an interesting account. Then after they got to Huntington, they established a home and had a large family. J.W. Nixon III was the first. Then there was Olive, then Myrtle, and Nina. And then it was just after Nina was born, he was called on this mission to California, and Effie says, you go, but I don't want to be left pregnant. So he goes off to California, and Effie is pregnant. And so, as I said before, when he converted this Mr. Sinclair, they named the new baby St. Clair, and that's Richard's father. Then after St. Clair is Grace. Grace was the younger sister. And then Ezra and Jesco, and that completed their family. But they have raised a righteous family, and they have many descendants. Many descendants. I would imagine it's in the thousands now. Reed's family, my husband's brother, has over 104 great-grandchildren. So that's just one. So you can imagine. And then the Maxfields have large families, and so they can be very proud of their descendants. That's it.
Loretta, could you tell us that promise? Do you know anything about the promise that Brigham Young gave to James W. Nixon I about a righteous posterity? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Rick was telling us down at the family reunion that he got a promise, he got a blessing, and in that blessing there was a promise.
Would that bet into his patriarchal blessing?
I don't know, maybe it was. I just wondered if you knew.
I know that in his patriarchal blessing, and this just from the top of my head, that he's promised that he and Johanna will live in Zion back in Missouri during the millennium. That's in their blessing. And I thought that was an interesting bit of information. But this is the album that Grady Johnson sent in the box to Uncle Ez and Aunt LaRue. And it ended up in our possession, which I'm glad. But there's pictures of Mary Louise and her husband, William Johnson. And this is the lady that wrote to Ernest Whitehead about her father and his family. So these pictures are very. This is a picture that was taken in Chicago, and the only person that I know of the family that lived in Chicago was Kate and her husband Isaac Hoff. And I'm quite sure that this is Isaac Hoff. I say I'm quite sure. There is a chance that it might not be, but the probability is pretty great that this is Isaac Hoff. And this is whose picture is lying under the bed of this woman in Mercer Island.
So who's Isaac Hoff?
Isaac Hoff was Kate's second husband. Not Isaac Hoff, Isaac Stewart. This is Isaac Stewart. But it's quite a delicate album. This is all ivory flowers. And this is a Catholic Bible. So this, and then his children end up, let's see what this says. St. Paul, October 1856. This Bible presented to Elizabeth Nixon by her husband, William Nixon. And that was the time they were married. And in it are quite a few articles about the second family. It's mainly the second family that's in it. But it's precious. And there are the inscriptions. So it's a little bit of a miracle that we have it. It could be like the gold watch that was lost to the New York jewelers. It could have gone to a bookseller. So we're fortunate that the Spirit said to Loretta Nixon in Seattle, Washington, go call the Johnsons in Crossville, Tennessee, which we did, and as a result, there it is.